Brought to you by...
It is often said that the time surrounding the season of Samhain is when the veil between our world and the next is thinnest, allowing for the dead to speak to those they have left behind, and even return from the world beyond to roam free in our plane once more. The most popular method of communication with the spirits of the dead is undoubtedly the Ouija board, used still by many in attempts to reach out beyond the veil and call back the loved ones they lost. However, sometimes miscommunication can occur, and the ones we aim to reach are not the ones we wind up interacting with. Hello friends, and welcome back to another ETF Halloween review. Today's attempt to reach the realm of the dead comes on another Halloween night, when a foolish attempt at fun calls forth something that none of us ever bargained for. Shot on location on San Juan Island, Washington, and Seattle, entirely on Kodak film stock, Am ZoZo is a psychological thriller about 5 young people who play with a Ouija board on Halloween and attract the attention of a malevolent demon. The film is supposedly based on actual experiences with an ancient and malevolent spirit called ZoZo that attaches itself to people exclusively through Ouija boards. At first glance, I assumed that this look and feel of the film, like most instances these days, was entirely created and fabricated in post-production with film overlays. However, this one is the real deal. Shot on real film stock, which makes me respect it all the more. Beyond the method of capturing the image, the film's visual style emulates the old film stock of 70s era horror in almost every way, utilizing camera movements similar to the quick and dirty handheld of Evil Dead, to create an authenticity that I have not seen since Ty West's House of the Devil. It presents itself as a true-life encounter with the entity known as ZoZo, supposedly even based on these actual encounters to some degree, which when combined with the opening and closing segments of the narrative, caused me to assume that I was walking into another found footage film. So you can imagine my surprise when I found something more traditional waiting in later scenes. We're introduced early on to each of our characters in a very traditional fashion, as our protagonist meets up with friends for a fun weekend, and slowly get to know details about each of them. The beginning moments of the film cover similar ground to Evil Dead, bringing our characters out to a secluded vacation home and settling in before inadvertently summoning an entity that will become the object of their demise. We view this narrative through the lens of a girl reliving the trauma that placed her into psychiatric care, and are introduced to the events in question during a therapy session as she attempts to recall them to the best of her ability. None of the performances in this one are anything to write home about, although the line delivery is pretty fluid and feels at least somewhat natural to some degree. Our protagonist, however, delivers an incredibly believable performance in her moments of extreme fear and anguish. There's definitely an extreme cheesiness to the film that, for me, just added to the old film feel and grounded me into the atmosphere of the period. As I mentioned, a choice was made to utilize a lot of handheld in the camera style, which was beginning to be used prominently during 70s and 80s horror. Here it does lead to a few shots that last a bit long, and the camera might drift away from the subject to nothing before a cut finally happens. This choice also creates an alternative presence among the group, as if ZoZo is there with them, like a fly on the wall, watching their every move and hanging on every word. The slow build-up to the emergence of the entity ZoZo is pretty effectively done, drawing out our suspense for the events in question and causing us to yearn for the answers to what caused our protagonist to end up committed. The film's score is fittingly authentic to the nostalgic style, utilizing early slow synth musical compositions with long droning piano and string sections. This was honestly an extremely slow burn narrative that I feel most will not enjoy. I personally loved the journey that this film took me on. It brought a different spin on this type of story. In a lot of ways, this film reminded me of The Battery, in that it takes a unique approach to an oversaturated subgenre. It also utilizes familiarity and nostalgia to its advantage, while doing it in the most authentic manner that I've ever seen, while also remaining bold by giving us a full-blown Evil Dead-style spirit rape sequence. Nothing is shown, but the way it's cut definitely suggests a lot, with the violent struggling and our girl hurtled into a fetal position in the shower afterward. I'm giving Am ZoZo a solid A. I definitely do recommend checking this film out if you are a very specific film fan. I'm talking a huge fan of House of the Devil or even just 70s era cinema. If you're a more modern viewer, this is a film that I would probably just avoid. It's not likely for you. This is a film that is all about its atmosphere and focuses heavily on its slow burn toward the emergence of this entity, rather than throwing a bunch of jump scares at you at every single turn. If you enjoyed today's video, feel free to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. If you'd like to show your support for the channel, please consider checking us out on Patreon, where every pledge, no matter how small, goes right back into the channel, to help keep fresh content coming your way. As always, don't forget to subscribe, stay spooky, and I will catch you all next time. Thanks for watching.